would the woman have an ideal man in mind for her to be with?
Oh yeah, 100%. And I mentioned this before on the podcast. Women marry men with the expectation that they will change. Men marry women with the expectation that they will stay the same. Men want their women to still stay at the same weight that they found them, the same, amount of love that he's getting from her, that support. Men aren't really interested in their woman changing. They get frustrated when their women change. It's the exact opposite with women. When women get into relationships, they're thinking, oh, he's a nice guy, but I can push him to make more money. I can push him to stop wearing, his pants, sagging, and maybe I can give him to wear some slacks. Women are constantly, quote unquote, complaining and nitpicking sometimes with men to try to make them become more of what they hope them to be. The ironic thing is, by and large, men are happy with the women that they commit to. Now, I use the word commit very importantly, because a man who's just using a woman as a jump off, he don't care because he's just there for one reason. But if a man is committing long term to a woman, it's because he likes who she is by and large, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I like the way you put that. I really do. That's understood.
Okay. Next question. Is love unconditional, or do men have to earn it? Love is, Chris Rock said that nobody conditions aren't required except for, I think he said, like dogs and babies, dogs and children. But when it comes down to men, 80-90% of the time, especially as a woman gets older, she has an expectation and a condition for that man to love that man, period. And men need to get this through their head quick and fast. You need to realize, as men, I'm not saying all women are like this, but the vast majority are. Whenever you're in a situation and a woman is dealing with you, she has conditions to deal with you. It's unless you have some kind of puppy love, she's expecting you to go from making $30,000 a year to a minimum of $75,000 a year. That's a condition. And if you don't do that, she may have something along the lines of that where she's saying, I just don't feel like we're compatible, or we're unevenly yoked, or I just don't think we share the same vision, or we grew apart. What she's saying is that you didn't meet her conditions and she stopped loving you. If love was unconditional, it wouldn't matter what the situation was. She would continue to love you, just like it has in the Bible. The biblical, and I'm not saying women don't love biblically, but biblical love does not have conditions preset. But when we're talking about how love is typically expressed in modern culture, there is a condition that's behind it. And men need to understand that quick.
Yeah.
That was cold. Cold.
Hey, so I'm going to throw about two more. We don't want to run it too long. I'll throw it two more. So, you ready? Next one. I'll read this. Oh, you want to answer it? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I would love to hear her opinion.
Oh, okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, Debbie. Go ahead.
Is love unconditional? I mean,
or do we have to earn it?
Are you about to engage in blasphemy?
I feel like it is unconditional until you break trust or respect.
See, she's already, and I what was your name again, ma'am?
Debbie Cakes.
Debbie. Let's take it back. This man you're talking about most likely is already, he's already passed your prerequisites. So now it's a matter of trust. When you first meet that man, are there conditions before you even fall in love with him? Or is trust the biggest thing? Is trust the biggest thing when you're dating a guy who's 5'6"? Or does he have to meet a condition before you even look in this direction?
Bruh.
You see what I'm getting at? Like,
okay.
Because sometimes women they only talk about men who are already qualified and already meeting conditions. That's the world that a lot of women live in. But what about before all that? But the men that are excluded. Why aren't you talking to this guy? Because he probably didn't meet I don't want to speak for you. Go ahead.
Are you about to engage in blasphemy?
That's a tough one.
Yeah, and Pancho, you got your cheerleader in the back.
Give me 2 claps and a Ric Flair.
So, oh, he couldn't wait for you to get on here. Oh man.
Okay.
All right. Next one.
Hold on,
Next.
we forgot to read David Stewart's comment. What's up, David? So David says a woman always wants a man who can lead. That's a condition, right? She doesn't really want a soft man. That's another condition. I've heard a woman say this in conversation. If he's soft, there's nothing he can really do for her. He can't even protect her, right? That providing provision element of being a man of God. Those are conditions. So, but I want men to know that being a good leader is a skill. Some people are born good leaders. Some people are born great managers, but most people have to learn how to be good leaders. When I was in the Air Force, I went through all these leadership courses. And what I learned real quick is there are natural leaders who are born with that skill. There are men who can learn to be a good leader. And then there are people who they're in leadership positions, but they're really managers. They're managing functions, but they're not inspirational. They can't inspire people to do things, which natural leaders typically do very well. So going back to David's question, is there a fine line between leading and controlling? A leader who is corrupt or a leader who's not very skilled may find himself having to control more than a leader who's more charismatic. There's an old story about a Roman general and a young man, or it's a young married couple, and the wife, she was asking, well, who's going to be the commander for this next military campaign? And they said, well, so-and-so general is going to be the leader of this campaign. And the wife starts crying. And they're like, why are you crying? Are you upset that he's going to do a bad job leading these guys? And she says, no, I'm crying because he's a great leader and my husband will do anything he says. Right? So that's a sign of a great leader. He inspires men to go beyond themselves, and there are bad leaders. There are controlling leaders. And I think that's a sign, David, that a man is not doing a good job of leading.
Yeah, and real quick, I just want to add this. And also when it comes to especially leading your household, right? I think a lot of times people get it, twisted. It's not, hey, my wife has plenty of opinions, plenty of ideas, plenty of good ideas that I listen and that I do. But what I come to understand is that when a decision needs to be made, whether she makes the decision or I make the decision, I'm still responsible for it. So as a man being a leader, whether you make the decision or not, you're always going to be responsible. So you got to make sure that whatever, if you say, hey, it's okay, yes, wife, hey, let's go spend $100,000 on this couch. Well, you say okay, but if you can't pay the rent next week, you know what I mean? Then you were responsible for that. You can't blame her. As a good leader, you can't blame her because at the end of the day,
you led poorly. Yeah. And this is something I told my wife, and this is powerful. A smart and a wise wife knows that at the end of the day, her husband is ultimately responsible for that relationship before God and before man. The vast majority of times, even if a woman tanks her relationship, she's doing things wrong, she's spending money, she's not listening to her husband. Society, by and large, will still blame that man for the relationship falling apart. And guess who else is going to have something to say to that man? God. So a wise woman knows, wow, I can go out here and I can go on this Amazon shopping spree, but I know my man's going to be held accountable for it. I'm getting totally, frustrated about how he's acting over here at Applebee's and in front of these people. I should call him out on it, but wow, I'm not going to be held accountable if I say something inappropriate. He's going to be held accountable for even what I say inappropriately as a woman.
Yeah,
a wise woman knows that and doesn't put her husband in a situation that takes away his credibility and things of that nature.
Yeah, you were talking. All I can think about is
you doing great.
Say what, boy?
Oh, can you hear me?
You doing great, man. I see you, good brother. I see you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. What I was saying is when you think about God, right? And you think about the first relationship with Adam and Eve, right? So think about if God held Eve with the same responsibility that that Adam had. Because think about, as soon as she ate the fruit, what if he would have showed up right there, like, Eve, why'd you do that? You know what I mean? But he didn't. He didn't show up until Adam did.
Well, we don't know if Adam and Eve ate the fruit separate or together. We have to presume that Adam was around. But you still hit on a good point, because this shows you the power of God's authority, right? But we're gonna get to Adam and Eve in the second example. There are no people left on the world but 8 souls. The flood has just occurred, right? Noah has a sacrifice, and God appears to him. And guess what? There's only 8 people in the world, guys. But God only speaks to Noah and his 3 sons.
Right.
What? There's only 8 people alive, but he only speaks to Noah and his 3 sons. Then let's go back to Adam and Eve, right? You have a situation where God speaks to Adam and he gives him his commission: be fruitful, multiply, don't eat from this tree. God never speaks to Eve. He lays the responsibility on Adam to teach Eve what she should be doing and what she ought not be doing when it comes to the tree. God never even speaks to Eve, except for when he punishes her.
Yeah.
So God, and this is the dangerous thing that's going on in our society. We are discounting the authority of men. Getting back to what David was saying, should men lead in the dynamics and the nuances of being a great leader or being a controller? This is why having leadership skills are essential for men, and why this is so attractive to women, because we are the ones being held accountable by God, and God treats this as something extremely important, that men have the ability to lead effectively. Right? He doesn't expect you to be, an Alexander the Great or a King David, but every man is required to, at a minimum, lead his family. Every man. It has to be in our DNA, and he's giving you all the tools to do it through Christ.
Grown man boss, something you got to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey.
So as
but yep. Go ahead.
so as a leader, do you delegate roles?
You can delegate roles, but you can never delegate responsibility. You know,
You get another
Man boss, something you got to deal with.
I'm on a roll, huh? The thing is, you can delegate a role to somebody. I may delegate the balancing of our finances to my wife. I actually delegate to her, how we manage the home with regard to, the schedule of when we do things, and planning events with other couples. And that's something I've delegated to her. But if I come home and a bill is not paid and the lights are out, is it my wife's fault because she forgot to do it? To some extent, but who's going to be held responsible? Me. Right?
Who has to fix it?
Who has to fix the problem? And like I said, a wise woman knows that if she's over here digging holes in the ground, and she falls in it, or her husband falls into it, or the kids fall into it, or her mother-in-law falls into it, or if you're digging a hole in your immediate family's life, you may be doing that, but your husband's going to be held accountable for it. That's what we're missing, because women think that they're free agents in relationships, or they're equal, quote unquote, equal in relationships. But there is no equality in relationships, and not in Christ. Someone has to be held accountable. When you're in a situation on a plane, do you have 2 pilots? No, you have a pilot and a co-pilot. In the military, you may have a pilot and a navigator, or a pilot and the bomber. The Wizzo, the guy who actually does who points in, the calculations for the missiles and all this other stuff. But there's only one pilot.
Somebody has to make the decision.
Right.
And then at the end of the day, someone has to be responsible for the decision. And that's
exactly. Remember DK, we got one AC, right? Remember that word AC, aircraft controller, right? You look at politics. What nation has 2 rulers that are co-equals? Name one. There's one central head of state. Why is that? Because that's the system that God has given us, that he wants us to operate in through the human family. Now, some people call that the patriarchy and call it a bad thing, but that's what works. And that's the system that God has given us to get blessings from him, by going through the man, and then the woman being a part of that process as a subordinate along with the children.
Yeah. Hey, Listen, this has been great. Great. Any last words from anybody? We like to do 45 minutes, a little over. So, any last words? Travis is on the phone, so we just we go. Yeah, we caught you. All right. Any last words, Debbie?
I was trying to before we get off this mug, try to pull some more ears on a cast here. That's all.
No bullshit, bro.
Oh,
There you go.
Like he like I'm dead serious. We appreciate you, brother. Do that. You think you can get some more people in?
you're about to end the video.
Yeah. Well, it's on DK.
Okay. All right. Breaking my rules. All right, guys. We're gonna restart this real quick. But Dave said behind every strong man there's a godly woman. Yes, holding him up, and also God created man in His own image to be a leader, and His woman to walk by his side. I concur.
I'm gonna put up a very controversial. It's not controversial in the Bible, but I dare you to throw this into a modern congregation. It's like a hand grenade, and you will have fights.
Enjoy you too, David. Thank you.
This is Peter talking, the one that Jesus gave the keys to the church to, and he's talking about the role of husbands and wives, and he says in I think it's First Peter chapter 3 verse 5. For in this way, in former times, the holy women also who hoped in God used to adorn themselves, being submissive to their own husbands, just as Sarah obeyed Abraham, calling him Lord. In some translations, the word is master. Calling him Lord, and you have become her children if you do what is right without being frightened by any fear. So Peter is saying to women that Sarah obeyed her husband. She was humble and she was submissive to him. She even called him master or Lord. And she said that you become like her, you become her children if you do what is right. But what's the reason why women don't want to do this? They feel if they give up their power that they've been given by the government, that they've been given by culture, that they're going to become weak and they're going to be abused, that they're going to become less than. And then that's why I believe Peter ends it with this phrase right here. You have to do this without being frightened by any fear. It has to be done without being frightened by any fear. That's a powerful verse, and it's very it's ignored in the modern church. Young lady, what do you think? Is have we gone too far?
Right? Don't be speechless, Debbie. Don't be speechless, Debbie. Stop rubbing your forehead. You don't be speechless. Speechless for.
Yeah.
Take your time. Take your time, Debbie. You're
You
doing great.
definitely got.
I beg your pardon. I beg your pardon.
No comment.
No.
She ran.
Wait.
Debbie, you're still there, Debbie. Don't do me this like this. It's like nah.
I am still here. Can you hear me?
So Debbie, when you hear that from the Bible about Sarah and women who want to be her children should act and conduct themselves in this way, how does that make you feel? Especially but it may potentially shine a line in your relationship with your husband. But how does that make you feel? I think she left, bro. She's gone. Oh my goodness, she bounced. Maybe she just got dropped. I don't know.
In the Pookie and Boo Boo's backyard barbecue is going on here. Let's rewind.
She's gone. Okay, there she's back. She's back.
She is. Uh-oh.
The whole world is anxiously awaiting your answer, Debbie Cakes.
I don't think women operate out of fear. That I don't know. I don't want to say that.
What they operate in? Feelings? Emotion?
This ain't looking good.
Come on, Debbie. Come on. Speak up.
I don't know. You got me stumped.
Okay, speak from you.
Do you
Speak
submit
from
to
you.
your husband,
I
Debbie?
Do you
Do you
submit to your
submit to your
husband?
husband?
yes,
Okay. So what's the issue? Do you think that this is something that's controversial?
it is.
Why is it controversial, and to who?
Um, I feel like it is to people who are.
Or what? It's controversial to people who are what?
They're giving away. They're giving away.
Who is dating. I don't.
It's
Let me
controversial
answer.
to people who are rebels, Debbie, who are
Well,
rebels
let me.
and
Why?
they don't put the word of
Why do
God
women?
first
Why do women have a problem with that?
because they feel they're going to lose power. Fear, they're going to lose power. In my opinion, I could be wrong. He talked about the power dynamic, but my comment that I wanted to mention with that was women want to give up their power based on conditions. They want a man to lead, but they don't want to be led when they don't want to be led. A woman wants a man to be a problem solver, but if he solves problems that in a way that she doesn't like, then she doesn't want a problem solver. So we're asking for a man who's part-time leader. Well, basically, when her emotions tell her that this is something that she wants to agree with, then it's okay. But if it's not, she wants to have the option to be able to do whatever she wants.
But not all men can be the
So
problem solver.
this is the thing, Debbie. If you are married to a man, whether he's a poor leader or whether he's Cyrus the Great, you have to submit to him wholeheartedly. Period. That's the only way it works.